It's good to be bad. That's B-A-double-D. This Tampa native made his mark mainly in tag team action for, get this, the AWA, WCW, ECW, CWA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, that's NJPW, and of course, WWE. Whether part of Bad Company or the Orient Express, one or two, he is a former tag team champion. Working with Diamond Dallas Page and Mr. Fuji in their corner, and Paul Diamond and Sato by his side, Pat Tanaka has traveled the world wrestling spanning 4 decades. But hey, there's more to Pat than just that. In October, and we're in October now, Tanaka co-stars in a sci-fi action movie, Monster Force Zero, and it's pretty good. I got to see it already. A wild-eyed release. And we will get to that. But first, and thank you, Pat Tanaka, tell us a little bit about Championship Wrestling from Florida and your legendary father and legendary trainer as well.
Well, I tell you what, I was very lucky. I was trained by Hiro Matsuda, one of the greatest trainers ever, trained many big stars. As a Hulk Hogan, Paul Orndorff, Brian Blair, so many more. It's unbelievable. And I was lucky enough to be trained by him. I was graced as one of his students in judo and amateur wrestling as well. And I was very lucky. He was my father's partner, and I tell you what, I miss both of them very much. And I miss Championship Wrestling from Florida.
I hear you, brother. I hear you, man. I grew up with Championship Wrestling from Florida. It was awesome. Gordon Soley, Dusty Rhodes, Eddie Graham, the Briscoe brothers. Just fun times, really cool times. Tell us about your father's wrestling name, and a little bit of his background. And obviously, is that where the interest came for you for pro wrestling?
Well, I tell you what, my father, Duke Keomuka was his wrestling name, and he was from California, and when he went to Texas is when he really became a name to wrestle Fritz Von Erich of the Von Erich family, and he became a huge villain there, because, I mean, you could imagine in 1950 or 1951, they said, well, you know what? Why don't you go ahead and raise that Japanese flag? And when he did, I tell you what, probably the biggest was, well, probably both great and bad. You know, I mean, people really wanted to kill him because it was just right after Pearl Harbor, for one. And it was crazy because, I mean, he sold out the, what was it, in Dallas, the
Sportatorium?
For 1 year straight. 52 weeks in a row he sold out with Fritz Von Erich. And they held that thing for 1 year. So that was pretty huge, you know. And my father was a good man. He never drank, well, rarely drank. Maybe he'd have a beer or two. And he would take care of his family, I mean, unbelievably. You know, we wanted for nothing. We lived in a beautiful home in Tampa, Florida, on Tampa Bay, and we grew up there, and it was pretty amazing. And I tell you, what a great man. And I didn't, you know, when I was a kid, I was a little rebel, and, you know, didn't show him the respect he deserved, definitely. But he did let me get into this business when I was really young, so I was lucky, very lucky. But we weren't allowed really to watch wrestling. Still today, kind of like, you know, I can't understand. But you know what? I never watched wrestling. Wanted to really watch wrestling. It never really interested me. I amateur wrestler. I love judo. I love football, basketball. I love to play those sports, but people didn't want me to play because I really sucked. So mostly just amateur wrestling and judo. So, but I think my father, the best qualities out of my father were that him and my mother, I've never seen them argue once. I've never, I've seen them mad at me where they want to kill me, but I've never seen them mad at each other, never seen them yell at each other. It was just a really nice way to grow up in my family. And, yeah, and I really do miss them a lot, you know. And it's hard to think about how terrible I was, you know, growing up.
Hey, we all rebel a little bit when we're young and teenagers and think we know everything and just don't need to be told what to do. It happens. But then you appreciate it later on in life when you get older and mature a little bit. And it's interesting because him and Hiro Matsuda, they teamed a lot together. Is that true? And both of them work in championship wrestling from Florida.
Absolutely. My father and Eddie Graham and Hiro, they were all partners in Tampa. And it was amazing because they did really well.
What do you remember? What do you remember, if anything, about those championship wrestling from Florida days?
It was probably some of the best times of my life, no doubt. I mean, because I refereed for them. I started setting up rings when I was young, and then I started refereeing. And what a great time it was, you know. It was something else, I tell you that. It was a lot of fun. I was on the road every day. You know, we do West Palm Beach on Monday. Tuesday would be Tampa. Wednesday would be Miami, the convention center. And Thursday would be Jacksonville. Friday would be, I can't remember, Tallahassee. And then we're back in Orlando Lakeland on Saturday and Orlando on Sunday. I mean, that was every single day. So it was a blast, you know, traveling with everybody. It was so much fun. You know,
and Pat, I'll tell you what, and every once in a while on a Friday in Fort Lauderdale, too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. 'Cause it was like we changed venues on Fridays and Thursdays because it usually was like a different town those days. The other days were set.
Man, I used to be at the I'll tell you what, they used to be at the National Guard Armory in Fort Lauderdale. A little place, but that place was always packed when you guys would, Championship Wrestling Florida would make it there. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, and we had a blast. No doubt about it.
So,
it was a great day, man.
So for you then, what made it decide, look, you started out setting up the ring, doing the grunt work, becoming a referee. When did it, and you mentioned about playing other sports when you were younger and getting involved in judo and amateur wrestling. When did it hit you like, okay, pro wrestling, I want to do this. I want to get in the ring and be a wrestler?
No, you know what? It wasn't like that. I never really wanted to be one. When it happened, you know, I wasn't the brightest light in school, so my father was thinking and out loud to some of the guys in the locker room, I guess. He told Mike Graham that, he goes, I don't know what you do with Patrick, you know. He's not doing good in school. He's not very bright. So Mike Graham said, you know what? Why don't you have him referee or learn how to wrestle? And my father says, I don't know if that's like throwing him in the fire or, you know, or doing something better. Or he said he didn't really know if he should have. And it was a hard decision for him, you know, to let me in there because, you know, I mean, he pretty much had all to say if I could or not, you know, so I'm sure it was a very hard decision for him because I definitely was a little troublemaker when I was a kid, and, you know, really spoiled, you know, and my gosh, he let me referee, and I tell you what, I learned a lot as a referee about pro wrestling, and that's where I started thinking, you know what, I would love to do this, because for me, I mean, I had to do a lot of things in there, and I learned so much. The best way to learn how to be a professional wrestler is to start refereeing, because that's I mean, so involved in the match already. Why not take that one more step and become one? You know, and that's what happened. You know, I just said, you know what, I'm trying this, and I'll take one more step. And my father agreed. He said, that's fine. He goes, Hiro's going to train you. And so Hiro trained me at first, a little bit. And for about, I'd say, 2 or 3 months with Hogan and all them. And then my father said, you know what, man, because I sneak off all the time, you know, and they couldn't find me for training and things like that. I remember I had a girlfriend, I guess we were in some hotel, and I remember Hiro coming straight to the hotel and grabbing me by the hair and taking me to the dungeon, we called it, you know, the sportatorium. And he punished me like you wouldn't believe. So my father finally said, you know what, let's just see if he really wants this. And they sent me to New Japan, to the dojo. That's the real torture place. That is, I mean, worse than military camp. I promise you that. Just the training there is unbelievable. It's just so, wow. I mean, it's ridiculous. Not many people can do that, you know. There's only 2 Americans, I think, that came out of there. Crispin Wall, myself, and one more, and that was Rocky King Curtis' son. And but that was quite a while ago. So, I mean, not many Americans made it out of there.
Pat, is that where you grew up, wrestling-wise and even maturity-wise, at the New Japan Pro Wrestling Dojo?
I didn't, that's where I started training. I stayed there I was supposed to stay there for 1 year. And in 1 year, you're not allowed to leave the dojo. You're not allowed to do anything, you know. You train 3 times a day, and that is it. And, but I ended up staying 4 years. And I loved it. And everybody up there was so amazing. When I came back to the States, is when I came back, you know, I came back to Dusty Rhodes, and he says, Pat, man, he goes, why don't you wrestle with us? You know, and I said, I'd love to, you know, and he was in North Carolina at the time. He was a booker there, and it was NWA there. So I started there. I was wrestling Arn Anderson, Bundy Landell, you know, all those people there. And who was it? Tully Blanchard, all of them at the time. No, very well. Then, after that, I stayed there for a year, and then I went to Tennessee. And I stayed there for about, I'd say, 4 or 5 years. And then that's when I went to AWA. And I was going back and forth to Japan, too, at the time. So, going for a tour or 2, and then come back. And then after AWA, that's when Vince called. That's when I went to WWE.
It's such an interesting journey, too. I'm so fascinated by the dojo, the New Japan Pro Wrestling Dojo, because when you're going over there at first, did you think after a few days of this type of work that, man, what did I get myself into? I don't know. It's not that I can't do it, but I don't know if I want to do this lifestyle, training 3 times a day and living there. I mean, was that the hardest part to just get through?
Oh, my first 3 days, I wanted to leave so bad, but they took my passport. So I couldn't leave, you know, and it was just so awful. It was crazy. They took my passport, and no one would talk to me unless I spoke Japanese. And that was the rule, you know. So, you know, I mean, you really didn't have time to learn Japanese because I train 3 times a day, and they're beating me to death. I'm so tired that I can't even move, right? But after about, I'd say 3 months, and I was getting in better shape, and then after about 3 months, I really got in good shape. Then I started sneaking out. And we started going to the bars at night. You know, I'd take all the young guys to the bars. We'd all have a good time and everything. Finally, we got caught. And I dearly think that. Because they are not, it's not a joke there. It's a serious thing that they do there. You know, and, you know, the training, they're grueling already. Like in my school, I start you out at 25 squats, 25 jump squats, you know, 50 push. I would make you work your way up to about 1,000, right? And when I went to Japan, my first day, 1,000 regular squats, 1,000 jump squats, 500 push-ups. Then you had to bunny hop around the arena. Then you had to duck walk around the arena. And then we had to run 10K. So that's the first day of training. And then you had to shoot, which is like MMA, for 45 minutes straight. Because they never smartened up the guys there. You know, the young boys there, they never smartened them up. So when you get in there and you're going at it, they're really going at it. It's shoot style there. So it's a tough company. And, I mean, it was awful. The way they treated me. I mean, I respect it now. As a kid, I wanted to leave. You know, I couldn't understand why, you know, it wasn't a good time. You know, because I had such a good time in the business. You know, as a referee, and I go over there, and it's not a good time whatsoever. Serious business, and they want to kill me every day. So.
Yeah, imagine if they try to do that in the States today with take away nothing from the talent today. Outstanding men and women, athletes, skilled, they work hard. But imagine trying something like that today.
Oh my God, they'd laugh at you. You know? But you know what? That's the thing. I mean, when you want it bad enough, I think pretty much you'll do anything you need to do. And I have a few students that, man, they really want it. I mean, their dream is, like, incredible, you know. And it's amazing because their personalities are so shy and timid. But when they get in the ring, I don't even know who they are. They change immediately. It's amazing to see the confirmation, you know, how much they want it, you know. And I was just surprised.
Those are the ones you can work hard. Those are the ones you really could take them to task and put it. You don't have to, but you could, and they would go for it.
You know what? I have 2 kids there every day, 1,000 regular, 1,000 jump. They do it on their own. You know, I don't have to do nothing. You know, and now they got the classes going on where they make them do like 200 a day. You know, things like that. So. I tell you what, it's amazing. You want it, you will do what you need to do.
The drive and determination, if you want something bad enough, that's what will happen. The key to success. Learn from your failures and keep moving forward. That's what you do. And tell us about where you're training men and women, those that want to become professional wrestlers or be involved in the business. Where is that? What is the name of it? How long have you been doing that?
Well, it's in Fargo, North Dakota. And probably the coldest place on earth. And I've never been in such a cold climate in my life. Coming from Florida, this is a culture shock. No doubt about it. And for the last 3 or 4 winters here, my gosh, it has been cold. I'm talking 60, 70 below for 2 or 3 weeks in a row. That is crazy. And it's already, like today, it's 30-something degrees. Crazy. You know? It's still me. You know, but it's already cold here. I'm just amazed. I'm scared already. But
did you trade your surfboard in for ice skates?
Yeah, if you see me on ice skates, you say that I better get a three-wheeler or something with my skates, you know, because, oh my God. I mean, you think I could bump in the ring when I was wrestling? I don't think I would stop even on ice. You know, pretty crazy.
That's amazing.
But I love it here because I love the people. The good people, man. And, you know, I mean, I'm like anybody else, man. I make super bad mistakes. I make, you know, sometimes I don't think through everything. You know, I mean, coming from this business, it's not hard to believe, you know, because a lot of people in this business, you know, are the same way. We make mistakes. I mean, not just mistakes. We make huge mistakes, you know, and we choose to do things that, you know, are not very bright, you know, and that's what, you know, that's what makes us, you know, the most unpopular people sometimes, you know. And I love it here. I really do. And the people here are amazing. And the school I opened here is called Tanaka Productions. And I have probably almost like 20 students. I have from the ages of 8 all the way up to 30. I have one on the way here from Illinois that's moving here. I have another one that lives somewhere in Montana, and he'll be coming up like every month for a couple weeks. And so I mean, it's doing well. The COVID really hurt us. You know, the social distancing, the gyms, they don't want, like the places that I was at didn't want us to have they wanted us to have social distance. And so that made it hard to do what we do. And if we continued not to do the social distancing, then they didn't want us there.